What if your dream move, the one you've planned and saved for, the one that promises a better life, turned into your biggest regret? The American dream has long been tied to the idea of place, finding that perfect town, that perfect city, to build a future. But in an era of economic uncertainty, social shifts and environmental pressures, the landscape of opportunity is changing. The promise of prosperity that once defined so many American cities has, in some places, begun to fade, replaced by a much harsher reality. We're about to journey across the country, not to the gleaming success stories you see in travel magazines, but to the places that are struggling. These are cities grappling with deep-seated issues: economic decline, high crime rates, crumbling infrastructure, and a dwindling sense of hope. For many, the dream of a fresh start in these communities has become a cautionary tale. The decision of where to live is one of the most important we make. Tonight, we're not just looking at statistics on a spreadsheet. We're looking at the human cost behind the numbers. We'll explore why these 25 cities, once perhaps beacons of industry or quiet havens, now present significant challenges for new residents. This isn't about judgment, it's about providing the information you need to make an informed decision for yourself and your family. Because choosing a home is not just an investment of money, but an investment of your life. St. Louis, the gateway to the West, a city with a proud history rooted in exploration and industry. It was a place people flocked to for jobs in manufacturing and shipping, a central hub of American commerce. Families laid down roots here for generations, believing in the city's enduring promise. The iconic Gateway Arch, completed in the 1960s, was a monument not just to westward expansion, but to the city's own soaring ambition and bright future. But the story of modern St. Louis is one of sharp, painful division. The decline of American manufacturing hit the city hard, leaving a void that was never truly filled. Today, while some central corridors and suburbs thrive, vast stretches of the city are plagued by urban decay, poverty, and one of the highest violent crime rates in the nation. This stark contrast between the haves and have-nots creates a palpable tension. The very arch that symbolized unity and progress now overlooks a city deeply fractured, struggling to reconcile its prosperous past with its challenging present. For many residents, the gateway seems to lead to a dead end. There was a time when the name Detroit was synonymous with American ingenuity and economic might. It was the undisputed heart of the global auto industry, the city that put the world on wheels. The sounds of roaring factories were the sounds of prosperity, drawing in hundreds of thousands of people from across the country and the world, all seeking their piece of the American dream on the assembly line. The architecture was grand, the culture was vibrant, and the future seemed limitless. Detroit wasn't just a city, it was an idea, a symbol of industrial power. That idea began to rust along with the factories. The oil crisis of the 70s, fierce foreign competition, and massive corporate restructuring sent the Motor City into a tailspin from which it has never fully recovered. The effect was a slow, agonizing exodus of jobs and people, leaving behind a hollowed-out core. While there are pockets of revitalization and a resilient spirit in its people, the broader reality is one of systemic challenges. High poverty, underfunded schools, and vast areas of urban blight remain. The grand theaters and skyscrapers of a bygone era now stand as silent witnesses to that former glory. A stark reminder of how quickly an empire can crumble. Baltimore's Inner Harbor sparkles on a sunny day, a picturesque scene of tourism and commerce that projects an image of a city reborn. With its rich maritime history, world-class universities like Johns Hopkins, and charming historic neighborhoods, Baltimore has long held a unique appeal. It was a blue-collar powerhouse, a city of proud dock workers and factory hands, its identity forged in the shipyards and steel mills that lined the Patapsco River. This history gave the city a distinct character, a grit and authenticity that many found magnetic. But just blocks away from the sanitized tourist districts lies a different Baltimore, one defined by a cycle of poverty, drug addiction, and violent crime that has become tragically entrenched. The 2015 riots following the death of Freddie Gray laid bare the deep-seated anger and despair simmering in its neglected neighborhoods for decades. The cause was a long history of systemic inequality, economic disenfranchisement, and a breakdown of trust between the community and law enforcement. The effect is a city at war with itself, where the promise of institutions like Hopkins feels a world away for residents, trapped in a cycle of violence and lack of opportunity. Memphis is the cradle of the blues and the birthplace of rock and roll, the energy of Beale Street, the soulful echoes from Sun Studio, the legacy of giants like Elvis Presley and B.B. King. This is the Memphis the world knows and loves. It was a cultural crossroads on the Mississippi River, a city whose creative spirit changed the world. This musical heritage promised a city with a vibrant, artistic soul, a place of rhythm and life. People came here not just for commerce, but to be part of a cultural revolution. But, the soundtrack of modern Memphis is often interrupted by the blare of sirens. While its cultural legacy is undeniable, the city struggles with some of the highest crime rates in the United States, particularly for violent offenses. The cause is a complex mix of generational poverty, a lack of high-paying jobs, and under-resourced public services. The effect is a climate of fear that overshadows the city's creative energy. For residents, the daily concern for safety can make it difficult to enjoy the very culture that makes Memphis unique. It's a city where the profound blues of its past now feel like a lament for its present-day struggles. Cleveland was once a titan of the Rust Belt, a powerhouse of steel, oil, and manufacturing. John D. Rockefeller built his empire here. The city's location on the shores of Lake Erie made it a critical hub for shipping and industry. In the mid-20th century, it was one of the wealthiest cities in America, with a population nearing 1 million people. Its cultural institutions, like the world-renowned Cleveland Orchestra and Museum of Art, were built on this industrial fortune, signaling a city of both might and sophistication. It was a place where hard work was supposed to pay off. The collapse of heavy industry in the latter half of the century was a devastating blow. Like many of its Rust Belt neighbors, Cleveland experienced a mass exodus of jobs and residents, a phenomenon famously dubbed brain drain. The city declared bankruptcy in the 1970s, and while it has fought hard to reinvent itself, the scars remain. Today, it grapples with high poverty rates, particularly among children, and neighborhoods that have yet to recover from decades of neglect. The moniker. The mistake on the lake, once a cruel joke, speaks to a lingering perception that the city's best days are long behind it. Albuquerque sits in a stunning landscape, framed by the Sandia Mountains under a vast blue sky. Its unique blend of Native American, Hispanic and Anglo cultures, its historic Old Town, and its role as a hub for science and technology at Sandia National Labs, gave it a distinct and promising identity. For years, it was seen as a fast-growing, affordable city in the Sun Belt, a place to enjoy a unique culture and over 300 days of sunshine a year. The annual International Balloon Fiesta painted a picture of a whimsical, thriving community, but the hit television show Breaking Bad, while fictional, tapped into a dark undercurrent that is all too real for the city's residents. Albuquerque has been grappling with a severe crime problem, driven in large part by drug trafficking and addiction. The city's property and auto theft rates are consistently among the worst in the nation. The cause is a perfect storm of factors: its location along a major drug corridor, persistent poverty, and a strained law enforcement system. The effect is a sense of insecurity that permeates daily life, forcing residents to be hyper-vigilant and tarnishing the beautiful backdrop the city is blessed with. The intoxicating energy of New Orleans is legendary. The French Quarter, the jazz music spilling into the streets, the world-famous cuisine, and the uninhibited spirit of Mardi Gras. It's a city that promises a feast for the senses. For centuries, the Big Easy has been a cultural melting pot, a place that lives by its own rules, attracting artists, musicians, and dreamers. Its resilience was seen as its defining characteristic, a city that could dance its way through any hardship. But beneath the festive veneer lies a city in a state of perpetual crisis. The devastation of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 was not just a natural disaster. It exposed and exacerbated deep-seated issues of poverty, racial inequality, and crumbling infrastructure that existed long before the storm. While the tourist areas have been rebuilt, many residential neighborhoods, particularly those inhabited by its poorest residents, have never recovered. The city now faces the dual threats of rising sea levels and a violent crime rate that has once again surged to be among the nation's highest, creating a precarious existence for those who call it home. Not long ago, Stockton was one of the fastest-growing cities in California. Located in the state's fertile Central Valley, it offered an affordable alternative for people priced out of the Bay Area, just 90 minutes away. New housing developments sprouted up across the landscape, promising spacious homes and a middle-class lifestyle. It was a city banking its future on growth, a key inland port connecting California's agriculture to the world. For many, it seemed like the last bastion of the affordable California dream. That dream came crashing down with the 2008 financial crisis. Stockton became the poster child for the housing market collapse, earning the grim title of America's foreclosure capital. The city was saddled with crippling debt from its rapid expansion and became the largest U.S. city at the time to declare bankruptcy in 2012. The economic fallout was catastrophic, leading to drastic cuts in public services, including the police force. This directly caused a massive spike in crime, turning Stockton into one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Though it has emerged from bankruptcy, it continues to struggle with high rates of poverty and violence, a lasting legacy of its boom and bust cycle. Milwaukee, perched on the western shore of Lake Michigan, has a proud heritage as America's brew city. It was a destination for German immigrants in the 19th century who helped build a thriving industrial base centered around beer and heavy manufacturing. The city developed a reputation for its strong work ethic, its charming neighborhoods, and a high quality of life. It was a classic American success story, a place where manufacturing jobs provided a stable path to the middle class for generations. Today, Milwaukee is known for something far more troubling. It is consistently ranked as one of the most racially segregated metropolitan areas in the United States. The decline of its manufacturing base disproportionately affected its African American community, creating deep economic disparities that persist to this day. The cause is a long history of discriminatory housing practices and economic shifts that left entire communities behind. The effect is starkly visible in the city's geography, with a clear dividing line between affluent, predominantly white neighborhoods and impoverished, predominantly black neighborhoods with high unemployment and crime. This profound division remains the city's greatest challenge. Birmingham was forged in iron and steel, earning it the nickname the Magic City for its rapid growth in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It was the industrial center of the South, a city built on the rich mineral deposits of the surrounding Appalachian foothills. The towering statue of Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and forge, watches over the city, a symbol of its industrial origins and the hard labor that built it. It was a city that symbolized the New South, aiming to compete with the industrial might of the North. But Birmingham's history is also deeply intertwined with the struggle for civil rights. The city was a major battleground in the 1960s, the site of bombings, marches, and brutal crackdowns that were broadcast to a horrified world. While the city has made enormous strides in moving beyond that painful past, the economic and social inequalities that were at the heart of that conflict have proven difficult to erase. Today, Birmingham struggles with a high crime rate and a poverty level well above the national average. The weight of its history is a constant presence, a reminder that while the legal battles were won, the fight for economic justice and security for all its citizens is far from over. For decades, Oakland was seen as the grittier, more affordable, and arguably more authentic neighbor to San Francisco. With its bustling port, diverse culture, and vibrant arts scene, it had a strong identity of its own. It was a hub for political activism and a cradle for counterculture movements. People were drawn to Oakland for its sense of community and the opportunity to live in the dynamic Bay Area without the stratospheric costs of the city across the bay. It was a place of character and resilience. But the economic boom of Silicon Valley has had a dramatic and often negative effect on Oakland. As tech wealth flooded the region, the cost of living in San Francisco became untenable for almost everyone, pushing thousands of people into Oakland. This wave of gentrification has driven up housing costs at an astronomical rate, displacing long-time, often minority residents. The cause is a regional housing crisis of epic proportions. The effect is a city losing its soul, as artists, activists, and working-class families are priced out. Compounding this is a persistent problem with violent crime and property theft, making it a city of stark and growing contrasts. Little Rock is a city that holds a significant place in American history, forever linked to the Little Rock Nine and the desegregation of Central High School in 1957. That moment of crisis eventually gave way to a vision of a more progressive southern city, home to a presidential library and a growing medical and technology sector. Its position on the Arkansas River and its relatively low cost of living were meant to be major draws for new residents and businesses, a chance to build a quiet, stable life. However, in recent years, Little Rock has been battling a reputation for being one of the most dangerous cities of its size in the country. A surge in violent crime has shaken public confidence and become the dominant narrative about the city. The cause is a complex web of issues, including gang activity, poverty, and a lack of opportunities for young people in struggling neighborhoods. The effect is a climate of fear that has led to population stagnation and made it difficult to attract new investment. The city is now grappling with how to shed this violent reputation and restore the sense of safety and promise it once worked so hard to build. Located along the historic Route 66, San Bernardino was once a quintessential Southern California town. It thrived on the railroad, the military presence at Norton Air Force Base, and its position as a gateway to the mountains and deserts. It was a middle-class community, the site of the very first McDonald's restaurant, which really became a symbol of post-war American optimism and car culture. Families came for the sunshine and the steady jobs, believing in a future of growth and stability in the heart of the Inland Empire. But, the closure of the Air Force Base in 1994 was a devastating economic blow, from which the city has never truly recovered. It triggered a downward spiral of job loss, poverty, and urban decay. Like Stockton, San Bernardino became overwhelmed by the 2008 housing crisis and was forced to declare bankruptcy in 2012. The city has since been plagued by high unemployment and crime rates. The 2015 terrorist attack brought it into the national spotlight for the worst possible reasons, adding a layer of trauma to its already significant economic woes. It stands as a stark example of how the loss of a single economic engine can cripple an entire community. Hartford, Connecticut, has a storied past as one of the oldest and wealthiest cities in the nation. It's known as the insurance capital of the world, home to giants like Aetna and the Hartford. This industry brought immense wealth, funding beautiful parks, grand architecture, and really, a sense of civic pride. Mark Twain, one of its most famous residents, called it home, writing some of his greatest works here. It was a city that represented New England's stability, prosperity, and intellectualism. But this prosperity has become dangerously concentrated. While the insurance companies in their downtown towers still thrive, the city surrounding them is actually one of the poorest in the country. The cause is a phenomenon seen in many American cities: the flight of the middle class to the suburbs, leaving behind a city with a depleted tax base and concentrated poverty. The effect is a city of two tales, one of corporate wealth and another of struggling neighborhoods, underfunded schools and high crime just a few blocks away. The state capital of one of America's richest states is now a city fighting for its own survival. Jackson, Mississippi, the city with soul, is the state capital and its largest urban center. It has a deep history in the civil rights movement and is home to a vibrant gospel and blues music scene. As a center for government and healthcare in the state, it was meant to be a hub of stability and opportunity for Mississippians. The goal was to build a modern southern city that could overcome its state's legacy of poverty and racial strife. But in recent years, Jackson has become a symbol of catastrophic infrastructure failure. Decades of neglect, population decline, and a shrinking tax base left its water system in a state of decay. The cause was a slow-moving disaster of deferred maintenance and political inaction. The effect culminated in the summer of 2022, when the entire system collapsed, leaving over 150,000 residents without access to safe, running water for weeks. This crisis laid bare the consequences of systemic neglect, and has created a profound crisis of faith in the city's ability to provide the most basic of services for its citizens. Rockford, Illinois once boasted the nickname the Forest City for its beautiful parks, but its true identity was really forged in manufacturing. It was a major center for machine tools and heavy industry, and later, aerospace. For much of the 20th century it was a place you could graduate high school on a Friday and start a good-paying factory job on Monday. This industrial strength built a solid middle-class community with a strong work ethic and a reputation for quality craftsmanship. The story of Rockford's decline is a familiar one in the Rust Belt. Globalization and the automation of manufacturing jobs decimated its economic core. The cause was a fundamental shift in the American economy that Rockford was not prepared for. The effect has been decades of struggle, resulting in one of the highest property tax rates in the nation, as the city tries to fund services with a shrinking industrial base. This, combined with a persistent crime problem and underperforming schools, has made it difficult for Rockford to attract new families and businesses, basically trapping it in a cycle of decline. While New Orleans gets the international attention, Shreveport has long been the economic hub of the Arc-La-Tex region. Its economy was built on oil and gas, and later, it tried to reinvent itself by embracing the casino and gaming industry in the 1990s. This brought a brief boom, with new riverboat casinos lining the Red River, promising jobs and a new stream of revenue. The hope was to create a family-friendly version of Las Vegas in northern Louisiana. But the gamble on gambling didn't fully pay off. The initial boom faded, and the jobs it created were often low-wage. Shreveport was left facing many of the same problems as other cities in the region: a stagnant economy, significant urban blight, and a crime rate that is alarmingly high. The cause was a failure to diversify its economy beyond boom-and-bust industries. The effect is a city that feels stuck, with a downtown that struggles to attract people after dark, for any reason other than the casinos. For residents, the lack of high-paying career opportunities is a major concern. Wilmington, Delaware, holds a unique position in the American economy. Thanks to its favorable corporate tax laws, it's the legal home to over half of all publicly traded U.S. companies. This has made it a major center for the financial and legal industries, earning it the nickname Corporate capital of America. The skyline is dominated by the headquarters of banks and credit card companies, projecting an image of immense wealth and financial power. But, this corporate prosperity has not translated to the city's residents. Just beyond the gleaming office towers, Wilmington faces severe challenges with poverty and violence, so much so that it was once dubbed Murder Town, USA in a national publication. The cause is a stark economic divide, where high-paying corporate jobs are often held by commuters from the affluent suburbs, while city residents are left with fewer opportunities. The effect is a city with a hollowed-out feel after 5 p.m. and neighborhoods that suffer from disinvestment and despair. It's a prime example of how corporate presence doesn't always equal community prosperity. The name Flint has become synonymous with one of the worst public health crises in modern American history. The decision back in 2014 to switch the city's water source to the Flint River to save money set off a chain of events that led to lead leaching from aging pipes, poisoning the city's water supply and, honestly, its residents, especially children. It was a catastrophic failure of government at every level, a story of neglect and betrayal. But, yeah, the water crisis was a symptom of a much deeper disease. Flint, the original home of General Motors, was once a thriving automotive city, second only to Detroit. The massive deindustrialization that began in the 1980s was the initial cause of Flint's decline. GM shuttered plants, eliminating tens of thousands of high-paying jobs. The effect was a city in freefall, leading to the very state of financial emergency that prompted the disastrous water switch. Today, even with clean water flowing, Flint is a city traumatized, with a shattered economy, extreme poverty, and a deep, justifiable mistrust of authority. Gary, Indiana was born from steel. Founded in 1906 by U.S. Steel, it was a planned city, built to be the industrial heart of America. For decades, it was just that. Smoke from the steel mills meant jobs, and jobs meant a stable life for hundreds of thousands of residents. The city was vibrant, home to the Jackson 5 and a symbol of American industrial might on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. It was a city built with a singular purpose: to make steel. When that purpose began to fade, so did the city. As the American steel industry declined, so did Gary. The cause was foreign competition and automation, which led to massive layoffs starting in the 1960s. The effect was arguably the most dramatic case of urban decay in the country. A mass exodus of people left behind a city of ghosts. Entire neighborhoods were abandoned, schools were shuttered, and grand downtown buildings were left to rot. Today, Gary is often used as the prime example of a post-industrial ghost town, struggling with extreme poverty, crime, and a landscape littered with ruins. Reading, Pennsylvania, nestled in the scenic hills of Berks County, was once a powerhouse of the railroad and textile industries. The Reading Railroad, immortalized in the game of Monopoly, was a symbol of its economic importance. It was a classic northeastern industrial town, with a large outlet shopping scene that later drew in tourists. It was a place of hard work, with a distinct Pennsylvania Dutch heritage and a solid working-class identity. But as its industries faded, Reading fell into a deep economic depression. In 2011, it gained the unfortunate distinction of being named the poorest city in America by the U.S. Census Bureau. The cause was the complete collapse of its manufacturing base, without any viable replacement. The effect was a city with an entrenched, generational poverty problem. While it no longer holds the #1 spot, it continues to struggle with high unemployment, low wages, and the social problems that accompany economic distress. The challenge for Reading is to shed an identity defined by poverty and find a new path to prosperity. Will it play in Peoria? That classic American phrase signified that Peoria was the perfect test market, a demographic cross-section of the entire country. For decades, it was the headquarters of Caterpillar, the construction machinery giant which provided thousands of high-paying, stable jobs. This made Peoria a prosperous, quintessentially Midwestern city. It was a place that represented the American mainstream, stable and predictable. But in recent years, Peoria's status as a bellwether has taken a negative turn. The city has been hit hard by the struggles of the manufacturing sector. Caterpillar, while still headquartered there, has moved thousands of jobs out of the region, a major cause of economic instability. The effect has been a steady population decline, a downtown that struggles to stay vibrant, and a growing crime problem. The question, will it play in Peoria, now has a different connotation, as the city reflects the broader struggles of the American heartland in a globalized economy. Anchorage, Alaska, is a city of stunning natural beauty, a modern metropolis surrounded by untamed wilderness. For many, it represents the last frontier, a place of adventure and opportunity fueled by the state's vast oil wealth. It's the economic and logistical hub for the entire state. A unique urban environment where a moose can wander through city parks. The promise was a high-paying job in the oil industry and an unparalleled outdoor lifestyle. But life in the far north comes with a unique set of challenges. Anchorage suffers from extreme social problems, including one of the highest rates of sexual assault in the nation and a significant problem with alcoholism. The cause is a complex mix of factors, including the isolation, the long dark winters, and a transient population. Compounding this is a high cost of living and a violent crime rate that has been on the rise. The natural beauty is undeniable, but it masks deep-seated social issues that make it a difficult place for many to live. At the turn of the 20th century, Buffalo was one of America's great cities. Its location at the eastern end of Lake Erie and the western terminus of the Erie Canal made it a vital shipping and manufacturing hub. It was a city of great wealth and architectural marvels, hosting the Pan American Exposition in 1901. It was known as the City of Light for being one of the first to have widespread electric streetlights. The future looked incredibly bright. But the opening of the St. Lawrence Seaway in 1957 was a devastating blow, allowing ships to bypass the city entirely. This, combined with the broader decline of American manufacturing, sent Buffalo into a decades-long economic winter. The cause was a shift in global trade routes that made the city's geography obsolete. The effect was one of the most significant population losses of any major American city. While Buffalo is now experiencing a modest revival, it still contends with extreme poverty, segregated neighborhoods, and the highest property taxes in the state, a legacy of its long, painful decline. For many years, Camden, New Jersey, located just across the Delaware River from Philadelphia, held the grim distinction of being America's most dangerous city. Once a thriving industrial center with major employers like RCA and Campbell's Soup, it was a proud, working-class city. People came for the jobs and the promise of a stable life in the shadow of a major metropolis. The iconic Nipper the dog on the old RCA building was a beloved landmark. The departure of its industrial base led to a complete economic collapse, arguably one of the most severe in the nation. The cause was total deindustrialization, which led to white flight and a concentration of extreme poverty. The effect was a city that became synonymous with crime, decay, and hopelessness. While significant investment in recent years and a controversial regionalization of its police force have dramatically lowered the murder rate, Camden still faces monumental challenges. Deep, generational poverty, failing schools, and environmental justice issues remain. Its recovery is fragile, and the scars of its past run deep. The stories of these 25 cities are not just local headlines, they are chapters in a larger American story. They are tales of economic shifts, of promises kept and broken, and of the profound impact that industry, policy, and history have on the lives of everyday people. From the Rust Belt to the Sun Belt, the challenges are complex and honestly, there are no easy answers. The common thread is a struggle for identity in a world that has changed faster than these cities could adapt. For the resilient people who still call these places home, the fight for a better future continues every single day. But this journey is also a reminder that a city is more than just its statistics. It's a collection of neighborhoods, of communities, and of individual lives. The decision of where to plant your roots is deeply personal, and what might be an insurmountable challenge for one person could be an opportunity for another. The purpose of this examination is not to condemn, but to arm you with a clearer picture of the realities on the ground, beyond the glossy brochures and optimistic slogans. It's to encourage a deeper look at the economic, social, and structural forces that will shape your life there. The American landscape is vast and varied, filled with places of great promise and places of great challenge. The most important investment you will ever make is not in a house, but in a community. Your future, your safety, and your opportunities will be defined by that choice. Where you live shapes who you become. Choose wisely.